So this time last year, when I recorded my aviation year in review video, who knew that there was a brain tumor in my head? I didn't. Now, thankfully, if you followed the channel for a while, you'll know that they have actually taken the tumor out, and the diagnosis for me is actually looking pretty good for the short and medium and hopefully long-term future as well. But obviously it meant quite a few changes for me in 2024. And I also think there are quite a few changes happening in the world of aviation here on YouTube as well, especially as we move into 2025. So as I like to do, as has become tradition this time of year, I want to do a really casual video with you guys and have a quick look at aviation on YouTube, some of my thoughts on it at the moment, where I think it might be going in 2025. As I did last year as well, I want to go through some of the channels that I've been watching and the creators that I've been watching that I think you might like as well. And just give you a little bit of an update of what's happening with me and also what's happening potentially with this aircraft and my flying as we move through into 2025. The last video I shot in Echo Yankee Zulu was on January the 23rd, when I climbed the world's shortest mountain and officially became a mountaineer, according to my Instagram bio at least, and a couple of people that I've spoken to. Really fun video. I really enjoyed making that. I had no idea that that would be the last time that I would be able to fly this aircraft, or any aircraft for that matter, as pilot in command. As you'll know, again, if you've watched the channel and seen the updates, yeah, I've had the surgery in March, the tumor's been removed. I've been through a recovery process throughout this year, and whilst I do not know what the future holds, the pathway for me forwards is that we're going to reapply to get my medical back in March 2025, and from that point onwards, who knows? We'll see what happens. And so 2024 for me really was all about, I mean, the word for me was recovery. It was all about recovering, you know, getting through that surgery, building my health back up again, getting back into my running a lot. I've been really enjoying that, but really just working on my own sort of personal, physical and mental health and fitness to try and get myself back to the point where I can even consider becoming a pilot and flying again. And I really feel like I am at that point now in my journey, and really excited for 2025 to fight for this thing, to get back into it again, because I miss it. I miss it so much. I've been flying with friends, I've been flying overseas, but I can't obviously fly on my own. And I think a lot of you that have watched this channel for a while know that I talk about the beautiful solitude of being a pilot and having that space and time up there when you are flying to just really enjoy being in your own company. And so in 2025, I've made a pact with myself, which is that there's no more of this like feeling sorry for myself. I watched back a couple of the videos that I made, I will be honest, and they're a little bit whingy. I know I've been through a lot, and let's not play down the fact that a brain tumor and surgery, that's a big deal, don't get me wrong. But sometimes, some of those kind of sulky videos that I was making about, oh, I can't fly, I wish I could fly, I don't know what my future holds. Yes, there's a lot of genuine emotion and sentiment in those, but I don't want to be that person anymore. So I'm making this video, 50% for you guys and 50% for myself, to say, stop it. 2025 is not the year to wallow in self-pity. It's not the year to sulk about what you've lost. And it's the year to actually embrace what I do have. And that is the fact that I've freaking got my health and I'm still alive on this planet to this day. For that, I'm very grateful. And the second thing is I've got hope. I mean, I still own a freaking plane. God, how lucky am I? This is sitting here waiting for me. Not a lot of people are ever in that position, so I'm very fortunate to be in that position. And I'm not going to take that for granted anymore, and I'm not going to sit here being all sulky and whingy about it. So 2025, if you ever hear me sulking, moaning, feeling all whimsical and nostalgic about the days that I used to fly and I wonder what the future holds for me, you call me out in the comments, all right? Because I want 2020. If 2024 was about recovery, I want 2025 to be about rebuild. So what am I going to do to make that happen? Well, first of all, obviously get my medical back. Now, thank you to the suggestions that some of you have given me around the idea of, for example, what about taking up gliding where you don't actually need a medical? I've been looking into that, and thank you very much for those suggestions. Some people have mentioned the Class 5 medical that we have here in Australia, which is the self-declaration medical. Unfortunately for me, because of what I've specifically been through, I don't believe that's an option for me, but again, I'm really grateful for those of you that have suggested it. So for me, it really is a case of working with the regulator and my medical team to get my Class 2 medical back. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. But in the meantime, there's so much more I can do. This aircraft is still not airworthy. get Echo Yankee Zulu airworthy, start working on my medical, and in the meantime, freaking fly more. There are instructors I can fly with who can sit on the right seat so I can actually fly. And I've had that option available to me. This is the ironic thing. That option has been available to me from day one. I just think some of that sadness and a bit of self-pity, I will be honest, but maybe the lack of motivation has prevented me from doing that. But no more. The bottom line for me here is I'm going to stop waiting. I'm going to stop being a victim to this whole situation. I'm going to take back a little bit of control, and I'm going to get myself flying in this aircraft again in 2025. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. This time last year, I was speaking about changes to aviation on YouTube, mainly around the amateur air crash investigation style content that was popping up. Now, I don't know whether it's my browsing behavior or whether there's less of this content being produced on YouTube at the moment, but I'm actually quite glad to say I've seen a lot less of that content being produced in 2024. I still think it's really important to look at incidents in aviation and learn from them. I just personally don't enjoy getting that from someone who is not a professional in that industry. I think though there's another change coming through in that there seems to be less demand for that I'm going to sit in a plane, I'm going to fly somewhere, come along with me type video. Probably because we've had it for a while now and there are so many people doing it, is getting less and less interesting. The thing that I'm finding really interesting to watch is people who are doing that, but with good stories and reasons behind those flights underneath them. The experiences that aviation brings you, as opposed to aviation itself. I think it's far more interesting, and we'll see more of this in 2025, to watch why to fly as opposed to how to fly. And the why to fly stuff that I'm really enjoying is the very authentic why to fly. It's the less cinematic. It's literally sometimes it's someone filming with an iPhone, just of their day as an aviator, be that a pilot, be that someone who's interested in aviation, it doesn't really matter, but the kind of calmer, slower, laid back, authentic, raw aviation experiences, showing people your aviation life, how that empowers you and how it can empower other people who are watching that. That for me has become a lot more interesting than simply watching the very highly produced, still beautiful to watch, and they're great pieces of work, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it's been done a bit now. That's what I'm looking forward to in 2025. That's what I'm hoping to do more of on my channel. And that's why, nice segue, Steph, that's why I wanted to talk to you about a couple of the channels that I have been watching who I think do that really well. First channel I've been watching a bit of this year is one called Buzzing Around. Now, I still don't actually know this pilot's name, so I do apologize, but the channel is basically all about his adventures in his Cessna Cardinal. And mainly, he filmed his entire trip of flying from Lithuania across to the Oshkosh Air Show in the USA and back again, flying across the North Atlantic, flying through Iceland, through Greenland. But it's produced in such a simple, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but in a really positive way, in a really simple, authentic, engaging, interesting way. I love a good series of content, like a proper narrative arc that goes across several videos, and this is a really good one. So Buzzing Around, I do recommend that. Now the next one, like Buzzing Around, the first channel, this channel documents the adventures of a couple of pilots who've actually been flying from Germany all the way down to Australia. Their channel is named after their aircraft. It's November 228 Romeo Mike. They're in a Mooney. Again, what I love about this channel is these videos are pretty simply made. I mean, there's a GoPro in the cockpit, there's some voiceover work, there's a bit of filming done on the ground, probably again just on a nice simple phone. It's interlaced with some pictures, but it really encompasses so honestly and authentically the experience of what it must be like to fly a Mooney from Germany to Australia. They also seem like incredibly competent pilots as well, so there's a lot of good information in there about checklists and procedures, but also operating an aircraft in different countries. So I've been really enjoying that one, so do check it out. The next one, if you're into your commercial aviation as well as your general aviation, I've been watching a bit of a channel called Flight Formula recently. Now this is an Australian traveller, he's obviously a big aviation fan as well. It's great to see some more aviation content down here, and they're interesting, they're funny, they're concise, but they're also very useful videos to watch if you are interested in aviation. One channel that isn't actually aviation specific, but I've been watching a lot of this year is another Australian creator. There's a guy called Bo Miles. Now, a lot of you will be familiar with Bo. He's not a small channel by any means. He's a very, very popular and very talented filmmaker, great storyteller. But I think us aviators, we're an adventurous bunch. We like to get outside a lot as well. And Bo's channel, if you're into just pushing yourself a little bit further and being a little bit more adventurous, but also making the most of the beautiful natural environments that we have, especially here in Australia. His channel is brilliant and incredibly motivating. And for me, especially this year, I've loved watching his content a lot. A couple of surprise aviators as well, that is people who I knew, but I didn't realize that they were pilots. I've been watching a bit of their content too. First one is a guy called Thomas Middleditch. You may be familiar with him if you ever watched a show called Silicon Valley. He's also done a lot of stand-up comedy, he's done some improv stuff. But Thomas flies a Diamond and he flies it over in the US, and being a comedian as well by trade, he's really interesting and fun to watch as well. Roman Grosjean, yeah, the Formula One driver who drove for Haas, he's now still driving in the US at the moment, but he's a pilot too. I never realized that. Will Brown, he's a V8 supercar driver here in Australia. I was lucky enough to meet him about a year or two ago at the Melbourne Grand Prix here in Australia. Will's a pilot as well, I didn't realise that. And sticking with the Formula One and racing theme, did you know that Ted Kravitz and Martin Brundle, both pilots too? I never realised that. Have a Merry Christmas, EYZ. See you in 2025. What are you hoping for? A new bike? Isn't that what all kids want these days?
Yeah, a red bike.
A red bike?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you write a letter to Santa?
Of course.
Yeah? Yeah, that's good. What did you ask for?
Nothing.
Just nothing.
I don't need
You might get that this year. So if there's one thing that 2024 has taught me when I shared my story on the internet with you all about what I went through, is that however big a thing you are going through and however big it feels for you, there is someone else out there who's going through something just as big, if not bigger, than you. And I learned that through all the amazing comments and feedback you shared with me, which first of all made me feel less alone, but also because of all those stories were shared here on this YouTube channel, other people got to read that as well. And I think other people sitting at home who may be going through their own thing also feel less alone. So to everybody who reached out, everybody who sent a message, everybody who commented on the videos that I've been posting this year, showing your support, just know that first of all, I'm grateful, but you've done so much more for the aviation community than I think you realise. And now we're off to Sydney.